Hello, this is Jerry, and today my topic is plastic pollutions. So, I want to start from six aspects, which is also six questions to talk about my topics to make it more details and more and much easier to understand. That is like the first one should be how to classify the plastic, and what is the characteristic of plastic, and then a question which is also very close to our life, which is will plastic really pollute our environment? Of course, sure, but I want to talk about why and the hazard of the plastics, and also how to recycle plastics, and the last one is going to be how to make degradable plastics, which is good to our environment. Okay, so let's begin from the first question: how to classify the plastics. According to the different use of plastic characteristic of famous plastics, plastics are usually divided into three types: general plastics, engineering plastics, and special plastics. Um, uh, just let me give you some details about this. So we have like EPS plastics, PA or PET, PV, PVC, PP, and ABS. Of course, we usually see PET and ABS in our life, like some Coca-Cola bottles, something like that. Um, so what is the exact characteristic of the plastics? So most plastics are not stables. It means this is not going to get melt easily and will not rust. And they also have they also have good impact resistance, and it also has good transparency and resistance, and good isolations and no conductivity, and also it has good coloring. I mean, yeah, good coloring. You can see what is it inside, and no processing cost. It's a little bit cheap for the producer, and most plastics have poor heat resistance and high expansion rate and easy to burn. And uh, and let's talk about this one. Plastic also have poor stability and easier deform, and most plastics have poor low temperature resistance become as low temperatures are easier to age, and some plastics are easily soluble in solvents. Okay, will plastic really pollute our environment? So first, it affects agriculture development. This continuous this waste plastic product mixed in the solid, in this, in our land will affect the absorption of absorptions and waters by crops and resulting in reduced um, our food. So that's the first one. I think for the second one, it posed a threat to the survivals of animals. Waste plastic products discarded on land or in water bodies are swallowed as food by animals, leading to their deaths. So I think that is the second one. And the third one about landfilling waste plastic will not only occupies a large amount of land, but the acute land will not be restored by a long time, which will affect the use of land. It's if the waste plastic products that enter the garbage are buried, they will not be degraded for about 200 years. And here I want to talk about the hazard of the plastics. So the first one, when recycling waste plastics, classifications is very difficult and economically uneconomical. And plastics are easier to burn and produce gas when burned. And plastics are made from refining products, and petroleum resources are limited, which is not conducive to the resource of resource. And the last one is plastics cannot be decomposed naturally. Plastics have poor heat resistance and are prone to aging. Okay, so how could we recycle the plastics? I mean, to make our environment much better than now. Okay, so the first aspect is mechanical recycling. Mechanical recycling of e-waste plastics is a a case of large waste generations, stable supply sources, and connection points close to manufacturers and materials processing and potentials potentials product users. And the second one is as a chemical materials. The use of plastics as a chemicals materials include the use of mixed plastics as a reduce agent in a metal smelting process is suitable um, for some situations um, like product classifications and disassembly are difficult, and like plastic suppliers, recyclers, and end users are far away from each other. The transportation cost of recycling of plastics exceeds the potential economy of plastics benefits. Okay, so for the third one, which is processed into engineering field, the proportions of plastics processed into engineering fields is small, but this is commercially viable, and this method largely depends on the close cooperations between the field's manufacturers and the end users. Economy aspect depends on the field's manufacturers' cost, transportation cost, the price of oils or other oils, and the cost of um, the others some materials. And the last one I think is we may use engineer recovery to recycle plastics, which means is engineering recovery is defined as I mean the daily used plastic process are directly burned without waste plastics products in consumer countries or used a combustion aids for other fuels and used through resource recovery method that generate and recover heat energy. Okay, so how to make de degradable plastics, which is good for our environment. So degradable plastics is a large concept, I think. It is a period of times and connects one and more steps under the specific environmental conditions, resulting in significant changes in the chemistry structure of the materials and loss certain properties and broken plastics. Um, among these materials, light degradable plastics and oxygen degradable plastics are rep- uh, repurposed plastics and should not be attributed to plastics. Disgradable plastics should be tested using standard test method and that can reflect some changes in performance and they should be determined according to the degradation method and life cycles. Regardless of the types of degradable plastics and their degradation's environmental conditions, and generally speaking of degradable plastics, it doesn't mean that such plastics can be completely degraded as substances that are not harmful to the environment. And I also want to talk about the impacts of plastics on the oceans in details because we could see um, microplastics themselves contain plasticers and can absorb toxic and harmful substances from the environment. Um, so, lots of fishes, I mean, different kind of fishes, um, they will get affect growth, development, and reproductions after ingestings. So I think it is going to be do a very great harm to our oceans, fish, and some other seabirds or mammals or some other things. And should we ban the use of plastic bags? Because recently the stable issues say degrees the use of plastic bags brings a lot of convenience, yeah. But when buy a lot of things, when you go to a supermarket, not having a plastic bags is a very troublesome things, and you will get some troubles. And with it, we could do it more easier, but it also brings a lot of troubles. So, like what I just talked about is the environmental pollutions. So how to limit the use is the most important things. Important things, I think. I think we should use plastic bag, but they should not be easier to discard. So, but I hope we could try our best to reduce the times to use the plastic bags to make our environment much better. So thanks for watching my videos.